there's some interesting rituals that we have in Torah, which are very, very difficult for modern man to understand. Sometimes we are thankful that we don't have these type of rituals today because we don't make any sense out of them. But when we study these enigmatic rituals, we discover that they actually have a lot of relevance to us in our lives today. One such ritual, a mitzvah in the Torah, is coming up soon on Shavuot. And that is, it's called there's a korban, there's a sacrifice which you offer on Shavuot. It's called the korban shtei halechem. 2 breads. What you do is you take 2 breads. It's one time of year that you have to have chametz. There's 2 korbanos that are always going to be chametz. They are the korban of Shavuot and the korban Torah, which you bring when you want to thank Hashem. But one time a year, which you have to have chametz, interestingly enough, is on Shavuot, because on Pesach chametz is forbidden, and on Shavuot it has to be chametz. Chametz te'afena must be baked out of chametz. So you take, the way the ritual goes is, you take 2 loaves of bread and 2 sheep, and you put each loaf on a sheep. Shtei halechem and shnei hakvasim. And the Torah tells us what you do is, והניף הכהן אותם על לחם הביקורים תנופה לפני השם על שני כבשים. If it's not, you're taking 2 loaves of bread, 1 on each sheep, and then והניף הכהן אותם. If it's not interesting enough that it's 2 loaves of bread and 2 sheep, we now do tenufa. Tenufa means to wave them. We take the sheep and we wave it up and down with the bread.
Like a lulav. Like a lulav.
Yeah. Yeah, we're waving it. And that's tenufa. That's how you do it. That's how you celebrate Shavuot. And then you offer the animals as a korban, sacrifice them on the mizbeach, and it's a korban shlomim, so you actually allowed to eat. The mizbeach gets part of it, and the person is able to also eat part of it, and it's a korban shlomim. This is the sacrifice of Shavuot, and we want to unpack what exactly this means. What is the significance of this in our lives today? Here we are, moving towards Shavuot. We always, we align ourselves with the korbanos that were supposed to be done at that time. When the Shalom Aparim Sosena means we daven instead of bringing the korbanot. So somehow, let's unpack what exactly we're supposed to be doing in readying ourselves for this act of being able to wave the sheep and the bread. Now the act takes place on Shavuot, which is 49 days of counting, Sfirat HaOmer, and then on the 50th day is the festival of Shavuot. 49 days of Omer is not just counting the days, but rather refining ourselves. So each one of us has 7 emotions, and each one of the emotions has subcategory of emotions within each emotion. And so what you want to do is work on yourself, avodas hamidas, to refine yourself to be able to get to the point that you're the most perfect any human being could ever be. That's level number 49. And then Hashem gives you level 50. And on level 50, you take these sheep and you offer them, and you wave them and you offer them as a korban to Hashem. Now, sheep are actually much more common in Judaism than once a year on Shavuot. Sheep are the daily korban too. There are 2 sheep we offer in the Beis HaMikdash every single day. Et hakevas echad ta'aseh b'boker, ve'et hakevas hasheni ta'aseh ben ha'arbaim. It's called korban tamid, the constant sacrifice. So what you do is, every morning in the Beis HaMikdash, the first korban, the first order of the day, is to take this sheep and offer it. It's a korban oila, so therefore it gets offered completely to Hashem. You can't eat any part of it. That's your first korban of the day, and then you can start the korbanos. And then the last korban of the day, except once a year with the exception of korban Pesach, which comes after the korban tamid, every other korban comes before the korban tamid of the day. That's your last korban of the day. Offer another sheep. We don't have sheep today, so what do we do instead of it? We daven shacharit and mincha. Shacharit is korban tamid of the morning, and mincha is korban tamid of the evening. But if you want to know how to daven, you have to understand why davening was instituted. So you have to go back to the sheep. And if you get what a sheep is and what it means to offer the sheep every day, then you get how to daven Shachris. Because Shachris and Mincha are replacements for sheep. But I don't understand how to offer a sheep in the first place. So here we have the sheep of Shavuot and the sheep of every day. 2 sheep on Shavuot, 2 sheep every day. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. And for that we daven. But I don't actually understand what it means to offer sheep. I don't know what a korban is in the first place. And I don't know how to do that. So, personally, I actually prefer davening over slaughtering sheep. It's more meaningful. Davening is a connection that I feel I get with Hashem. Offering sheep, I don't begin to understand why that would connect you at all to Hashem. Offering sheep is the source, though. And we want to understand that. So, sometimes in order to relate one thing to the other, we have to go back to what it is that we want. What are we trying to achieve? Humankind is created with an existential problem. And that problem is, we want to be something and we can't. Our whole lives, essentially, is spent looking to get somewhere and being unable to get there in the moment. It takes us time to move to the next step. So look at your life and you'll see all the time there's a pulse of life. The pulse of life is when you're little, you want to graduate. When you graduate, you want to get married. When you get married, you want to have kids. When you have kids, you want to have, another kid all the time. And then older and older and older you get all the time. You're looking for the next level, the next level, the next level. And you're never happy where you are. And then you get there. And it's such a feeling of, I achieved it, my destination, I got there. And then what happens? The next issue comes up. And the lack of dissonance, that dissonance comes in again and again and again. And I want to move towards the next level. So we're in a constant state of lack of equilibrium. Looking towards getting to the next step. I'm not happy where I am. I'm not content. I'm looking for contentment. I get there, I get the contentment. I stay in there a little while. I'm like, I want something else. And I want to get to the next level. And I'm never able to sit and just rejoice and enjoy the space where I am. I think as a people, we're experiencing it now in the land of Israel. It's really hard to accept this. Like we got this country that is 75 years old, is ganged up by every other country in the world, and has no borders, can't win a war, and is just stuck all the time, and never being able to be accepted as another nation out there. And like we really want, just accept us, just let us exist, just let us be. We're just another country, nothing else, leave us alone. Nope, nobody's accepting us. And so we're striving all the time towards getting this peaceful resolution of whatever we're trying to get to. No matter how much peace we look to achieve, we're simply not able to get there. But what if the getting there is the fun part? What if we could actually live in a space whereby we discover that the pulse of life is life? The throb of back and forth, to and fro. When you want to feel yourself, you feel the throb of life. You put your hand on your pulse and you feel it's up, down, up, down, up, down. Good. You're not happy? Great. That means you're alive. That's excellent. If you're looking to get somewhere, never there, that's called living. So we want to be able to live in an excited way in the space where we are, in the exact place, and find joy and excitement right here, right now. How do we do it? How do we get there? Human beings have no way of actually being happy, of actually being absolutely content where we are. Only animals get to do that. Animals have no brain. So animals are just happy, content. You ever see animals? No problems. He's not aware of the danger that lurks out there right now. So, okay, tomorrow the danger comes, it is what it is. Right now, he's just happy. He's just in the space of, it's all good. Now, within animals, there are different types of animals. There's wild animals, which are a little less happy and content. And then there's domesticated animals. Domesticated animals are tame. They're just content. Simple, it's good. Little babies have a little bit of an inkling of that. But not quite. Babies are born, they're like, give me the world. I want to achieve, I want to get somewhere. It's this sense of just absolute satisfaction. Animals have it more than humans. Tame animals more. Within animals, right? An ox. Yeah, an ox has it to some degree, but he still gores and he's trying to all the time get angry. Which animal would you say is the most content? Cow? Cows are oxen, they gore, a cat sits down. You ever see a cat like trying to, when he sees a mouse? When he hops, there's a mouse nearby. Then he goes crazy, jumps out. Which animals all the time, no matter what you do, he's just like, bleh. Fish are swimming up all the time trying to get some. Right. Sheep? What are sheep like? Sheep. Sheepish. We have words for sheep, right? Sheep are just like, blah. Very bland. Sheep are very uninteresting to us human beings. You can't build a relationship with sheep. They're so boring. But also, they're just so happy and content just where they are. If I ask a human being, would you want to be like a sheep? No. I don't want to be a sheep. Sheep is what we say, like sheep to the slaughter. Katzon latevach yuval. That's sheep. Sheep will do whatever they can be abused, like whatever you want. No character in a sheep. But sheep have a real power quality that, like, I wish I had, but I wish I didn't have to be a sheep to have it. A sense of acceptance. Right? Passive contentment. So wonderful. Just like happy. You're in the zone all the time. If you have a brain, you realize, I want that. But you know that sometimes we do want that? Don't you want sometimes to just not feel the pain of existence? There's a little bit of a negative way we do it, and that is like addiction. What's an addiction? It's when you're like, you need to look at that something and like nothing exists. And it's your ability to just totally numb yourself and your senses to anything out there. Nothing else exists. And as humans, we're like, I want to feel that. People who drink, that's what they're looking for. When you drink a lot, and then you get, they tell the alcoholic, he drinks, and you say like he's been sober for a long time. And you say, wow, I saw you for 2 months already sober. Doesn't it feel great? No, it doesn't actually. I feel very existentially unhappy because I'm not looking at the alcohol as a problem. I'm looking at it as a resolution to my problem, the problem of existence. That's why people go to movies. Meaning, when you're at that age, right? There's like that age where you actually can look at something which fiction, and you look at it and you can actually get excited by it and actually lose yourself in this picture. You get a little older, you're like, do me a favor, right? But it's the need to look and to lose yourself into something bigger. Escape. It's what's behind an addiction. It's also what's behind depression. When you have no desire to be, just These are qualities whereby a human being is trying to be like a sheep in a negative way. What if we could find the positive in this? What if we could discover that the space of life, of the pulse, of up and down, and the throb, of backwards and forwards, is actually a space of absolute good? We want to feel taken care of. We want to feel special. We want to feel meaningful. We want to feel good. That's why we're constantly looking for the next destination. But what if we could discover that every step of your life is already a destination? What if you could see that you are perfect? And perfection, part of perfection, is a feeling of imperfection, which leads you to want to be more perfect. But you're not going to become more perfect. You're just going to bring your perfection outward. It's almost critical to imbue ourselves with a feeling of how special and perfect we are. In education, I think it's part of the mission that a child not feel imperfect with the need to discover perfection. Feel perfection. You got to feel you're perfect. But on the flip side, if you feel perfect, you won't want to go achieve. And the answer is, you're perfect in your state of looking to achieve perfection. You're just absolutely awesome where you are. You're unreal and unbelievable. And what's unreal about you is that you think you're not unreal. And so you're constantly looking to change things and to do and to accomplish. That's so beautiful. That's so amazing. Because you're constantly in a relationship with Hashem. You're never able to feel satisfaction. That's the most satisfying thing in the world. If we could discover that this lack of equilibrium in our lives is the greatest asset that we have, and as you are is absolute and perfect, then what you would do is you'd be able to do things, put in the effort, and surrender right back to Hashem, and feel a sense of absolute perfection where you are. Imagine how you'd be relating to the outside world if you just felt good about yourself and you weren't trying to get something all the time. Then you'd be a beacon of light out there. Torah tells us that the sheep and the human being need to enmesh. Human beings can never be sheep. So to us, the sheep is actually derogatory. I should go like sheep to the slaughter? No way. But the sheep has the greatest quality ever. The Ramban says that when you're watching a korban and the korban is being slaughtered, you're supposed to think, I wish this was being done to me. Remember that one? Just look at a korban as he's being shechted and say, this should have been done to me. And that sounds very negative. I always look at, we don't do much shechting, but once you're by kaparas, you see the kapara. Okay, this should have been done to me. Oh, whoa. Then you watch him and it's not exactly pleasant to watch the shechita. And you're thinking that would have been done to me and you cringe. It means something different. What it means is, if you look at the animal, you discover that the animal is able to unite completely with Hashem. The animal doesn't feel his own pain of existence. I want that too. I wish I could just feel Hashem with absolute oneness, just like the animal does. The shechita of the animal, in a positive sense, is an absolute, complete, perfect oneness with Hashem. He is totally absorbed into Hashem. I want to be that way too. I want to also align myself that way. The way Hashem designed the world is that humans and animals must interact. You cannot exist unless you interact with the animals. On a very basic level, you have to eat them. You like it, you don't like it, you have no choice. You got to eat animals and plants, and that way you can exist. And what happens is, when you eat the animal, you accrue the qualities of the animal, you internalize the quality of the animal. When we internalize the sheep, we take the sheep and make that quality part of us. So now we're going to be humans who ate the sheep. That's our goal. Our goal is to have an absolute state of perfection, just like a sheep, to feel totally taken care of. So you're not going to be a sheep, you're going to be a human being, and you will feel totally taken care of. Now, in the Torah, how do you say sheep in Hebrew? Keves. When you're Baal Korah and you're reading the Torah, it sometimes it appears like a bit of dyslexia, because sometimes they get the word keves mixed up. Sometimes in the Torah it doesn't say keves, it says kesev. What does kesev mean? Not kesef. Kesev. Chaf, shin, bet. Instead of keves, kesev. When you read in the Torah and you're starting out, it's like, kvasim, ksavim, which one? Ksavim? Kesev? What are they? Found in translation? Same thing. Ksavim are sheep. Kesev and keves are the same thing. Okay, so whatever. Sometimes you call them a keves, some call them a kesef. I don't know. Whatever. But actually it means a lot in the Torah. You found it?
Yeah.
Ksavim, what does it mean?
They use the word dyslexia for someone who interchanges things out there.
Oh, they said it's dyslexia?
Yeah, for some, you know, but it does say both, yeah.
Yeah. Kvasim and ksavim. But the Torah does it. Often. And you wonder, like, why would you change the letters around? You're changing the letters because you're changing the meaning. It's totally different. Keves and kesev are totally different. If we look at that bet and shin, we'll see the order is critical. The bet and the shin represents intellect and emotions. Bet, the pasuk says, Bechochma yivne bayit. Bayit is a bet. The letter bet is the first letter of the Torah, Bereshit. The way the bet is shaped is, don't go up, don't go down, don't go backwards, go forwards. That's what intellect is meant for. Chachma is your ability to discern things, to get a perspective. That's your bet. Bet is wisdom, which has one opening for you to figure things out. The shin has 3 lines to it. 3 lines is the emotions, because emotions pull you right, left, and center. Chesed, Gvura, and Tiferet. Love or compassion. Emotions go this way, that way, and then center. You have a bet, and then you have a shin, means there's an intellect, and then comes the emotions. If you have a shin, and then a bet, it means the emotions precede the intellect. In life, we live in a space that intellect comes before the emotions. And that is difficult to live with. Because we have these emotions deep embedded inside of us, and we're not aware why. So we chase all the time. People feel insecure, so they chase insecurity. It's like, where do I find insecurity? Intellect is thinking, oh, over there, okay, let me go there, find security. Where do I find a sense of recognition? Where do I find the emotions that I'm looking for? It's a chase after emotions. And that's why we look to find happiness. Really what it is that every one of us is absolutely wholesome. And you have everything you need. The shin means you're emotionally pure. You're perfect. And this is why you're thinking a particular way. If you're a person who looks for recognition, that's because that's where your mission in life lies. That's what you're supposed to be doing in life. So the shin coming before the bet gives you perspective. It means, look, your emotions are aligned with you. Hashem puts you into this world in order to look for who you are. But when you enter this world, you don't know that. So You're looking around, you're like, okay, where do I find something good? How do I find this? And human beings are looking around in life for the emotion. At our source, we are ksavim. At our source, we have a kesev. When it comes down, it's a keves. What that means is the sheep represents absolute perfection. Perfection is awesome. Perfection means your emotions are aligned with Hashem. Hashem has got everything you need is right there for you. But when it falls into this world, you don't know that. When Yaakov Avinu was with Lavan, what was he doing? He was working with sheep. The Torah says, "V'haksavim hifrid Yaakov." Ksavim, he took the sheep and he separated them. And that's the core of living. Feeling separation, feeling disconnected, and looking to find wholesomeness. Life is about looking to find wholesomeness. When you feel that need to get married, that means I'm like, okay, I don't know, I'm lonely and I want to get married. I want to find a partner. I want to feel wholesomeness. It's a quest for wholesomeness. At the core of a human being, you don't need anyone or anything else for wholesomeness. That's the kesev. You are wholesome. You have all the emotions from Hashem. And Hashem sends you into the world to go figure things out. When you enter into this world, you feel, oh, I need to go find places. Where should I go? And then you find that, and then you find the emotions after the intellect. If we were all in the state of perfection, we wouldn't have that. But Hashem wanted us to walk into the world of separation and to find God there. You know, every human being looks to feel that sense of wholesomeness. I think in psychology they call it like wanting to go back to your mother's womb. Wanting to feel that sense of protection, being taken care of, wholesomeness. And we spend our lives feeling disconnected, looking towards that sense of perfection. Actually, it's a lot deeper than your mother's womb. It's a connection of a soul to God. Every one of us is Ner Hashem, Nishmas Adam. We're souls of Hashem. We come from the divine, and everything in this world is holy. Our very being is holy. Imagine you could actually feel that way. Sheep feel that way. Sheep don't feel themselves. But it's not a virtue to be a sheep. But look at that quality. Imagine you would always feel protected. No matter what you do, you feel like Hashem is just taking care of me. It's so beautiful. In the ups and the downs, in every step of things that go on in life, you would feel like you're back and you're protected by Hashem's beautiful ambience, by His protective presence everywhere. You would sense the light of the divine in every little thing you do. You are in the womb. You're back with Hashem. You just don't get the truth of what you are. That means the yesh, let's go to the ayin. Imagine you could live life and just let go. Just feel totally all the time taken care of, protected, in Hashem's presence all the time. There's nothing of me separate from Hashem, me and Hashem, all one, all the time. That's where I want to get to. That's what it means to get to this sheep-like existence. Torah tells us every day, every day you wake up in the morning, you go to taseh. Taseh means to create the sheep, to protect it, to look at your life and see. The morning is the doing. I got to go and accomplish and do. The reason you got to go and accomplish and do is because Hashem wants that. You're protected by Hashem's presence all the time. And in the afternoon, sometimes things are dark towards evening. And you got to realize the ups is Hashem, the downs is Hashem. It's called letting go every single moment and feeling like a sheep to Hashem, protected. You do your effort, you go do your thing, and you look back and you feel the absolute sense of protection by Hashem. To feel like, just taken care of by Hashem. That's how you daven Shacharit and Mincha. Shacharis is work on the sheep in yourself. Offer the sheep to Hashem. And what does that mean? Daven. and feel how Hashem is creating the world every single second, how Hashem is protecting, Hashem is taking care. Everything that's happening in this world is happening from Hashem. I do see it, I don't see it. Give your emotions over to Hashem. Emotions are very powerful. Emotions make you feel all the time stuck. Nope, go right back to that space. It's so good in life when you live in this way and you're able to see Hashem's presence. When we don't, we feel very, very, very alone and abandoned. When you do, you feel wholesome. I heard this beautiful story. It was told by Rabbi Moshe Brisky from California. And it's one of those stories where you see Hashem's protective hand. The things you like, the things you don't like, but you feel all the time in His presence, even when it's so harsh. So the story was that in the mid-80s, not sure exactly, but mid to late 80s, there was an incident that took place in Brooklyn, New York, on Montgomery and Troy. And what happened was, towards evening, I believe it was, two young boys, 16-year-olds, went to a phone booth. If you remember, back in the old days, there were these little huts in the middle of the street all over. And inside there was this thing called a telephone. And that old thing, and you picked it up, you dialed the number, all that. Yeah. So they had these phone booths. And these two young men went into the phone booth. And one of them entered. He was standing inside, the other one was standing by the door. There's a door from privacy, and he was like half open by the door. And they were approached by three thugs. And as they did so, these guys came with a knife. The young man on the outside succeeded in escaping. The one on the inside did not. And a knife pierced his heart. And when these guys ran away, the other guy came in and he was able to call an ambulance, take the bacher away. An ambulance came. Unfortunately, the young man didn't make it. And he died. His name was Avrami Goldman. Hashem should avenge his blood. It was a very sad, very, very sad, very tragic, very difficult time for the whole community to accept. Certainly in Crown Heights where it happened, it was one of those very, very low moments of the existence of the community. And yeah, serious nefesh, self-sacrifice. It's a difficult episode to accept, right? Like, why does Hashem do these things? What is it? Fast forward 3+ decades, and the bacher, the other young man who was there, gets a call from the brother of the deceased, the one who was murdered. And he says, "Can you run past me again what you guys were doing? Our family's been living with that moment our whole lives. What were you guys doing in the booth?" He says, "I'll tell you. We were, every Friday, we would go out to Manhattan, and we had a route, meaning a route. We would look around, and we would go put tefillin on people. So pairs of young men, of bachim, would go out, and they would find people to put tefillin on. So we would go out, and we found a place to put tefillin on people. So we had all these stores we would go to from one store to the next. And we were looking at some electronic stores, maybe 47th Street, and we were looking for people to put tefillin on. There was one Israeli guy who was super secular, and he had absolutely no interest ever in putting on tefillin. Not interested. And we tried, and nothing. But the guy was a nice guy, just not interested in putting on tefillin. So we would go to this guy, and we would come to him, and every week we would give him paraphernalia, and we would talk to him and befriend him, and do Ahavat Israel, if not tefillin, at least the love of a fellow Jew. Just feel connected. One day he tells us, "My wife gave birth to a beautiful baby daughter." Wonderful. So we told him, excellent. When you have a baby daughter, you come to shul and you give her a name in front of the Torah. It's very special. Give her a Jewish name. He's like, nah, I'm good with a regular American name. I don't need any Jewish name. Very, very secular. Only Israelis can reach that. You know? They sit there and they're convincing him, you know, but we can get you to a very special place. You come to 770. In the special minyan with the Lubavitcher Rebbe present, you can give your daughter a name right there. Wouldn't that be awesome? The guy said, no, I wouldn't. He didn't want to come. They're like, we're trying. The guy says, no. And then one day, he's like, you know what? You guys are pushing me so much. Okay, I'll come. Monday, I'll be there. Sunday night, we went out to the phone booth because we were a little bit skeptical whether that yes meant he would actually come. So we went into the phone booth to call him up. And the phone call was a phone call to this Jew to ask him to come tomorrow morning to the minyan. Avrami went and bought cookies and some wine, grape juice, that he bought to say l'chaim afterwards, after the naming. Called this guy up, having a conversation with him, very excited, telling him to come. And then he told him also, you know, by the way, your wife can use this opportunity to start lighting Shabbat candles, especially with your daughter. You have a baby now, so beautiful. And then the phone cut. The conversation ended abruptly. And that was when this incident happened. This terrible, terrible tragedy. He's like, but why are you asking now, after so many years? So the brother says, I'll tell you what happened. We just received a call. This call happened recently, a couple of years ago. We got a call from a lady living in Yerushalayim. She said, she called us up, the family, and she says, I have a story to tell you. She says, my name is Pam. I have a Hebrew name. My Hebrew name is Pesha, which is a non-Israeli name, a Yiddish name that most Israelis would not take. I'm named after a grandmother. And I have siblings. None of them has a Hebrew name. Only I do. I grew up as secular as you can get. We went to public school in Manhattan. We had zero connection with Judaism. Nothing. And I never got why I had a Hebrew name. It's interesting. I had this Hebrew name. That's all I had. We never kept anything. We were as secular as you could ever get. I'm not sure why, but my heart told me I'm always going to be a religious Jew. I don't know why. I don't know what it was. I always felt that there was this heavenly power guiding me towards becoming a religious Jew. And whenever I could, I would run over to shul, I would get involved, I would do, and my parents were very unhappy about it. They would always fight me about it. What do you need this stuff for? They were running away from it. They knew what it was, and they were trying to raise me in an atmosphere of no connection. And I was just gravitating towards it to the point that when I finished school, I went to seminary, to a religious seminary, against my parents' will, with all the fights. I got married. I married a Jewish religious guy. I'm a religious girl, and I have 2 kids now. One of them is about to enter Cheder. I live in Yerushalayim. This is my story. She says recently, a few months ago, my father was a young man, not so old, and Hashem decided to take him away. And before he went away from this world, he told me, I want to let you know something. I know that we've always been fighting against you in religion. I want you to know that we're actually very proud of you. And at the end of the day, we're happy with what you did. And we approve of it. And I also want you to know the story of why you got a Jewish name. It says, we were running away from Judaism. I had these 2 guys who come to me every Friday. And they were trying to get me to put on tefillin. Poor little kids. They really tried hard. Nothing ever succeeded. They always failed. And but they persisted, and I liked them. I love persistence. We Israelis love that. And they really tried hard. And when you were born, they wanted you to have a Jewish name. And I said no. And then I told them I would come to the synagogue of the Rebbe. And there was no way I was coming. It wasn't even a question. I was not going. I'm not sure what they were thinking, but I'm not entering no synagogue, let alone to name my daughter. No chance. I wasn't planning to go. And then in the conversation on the phone, the guy was telling me to come. I said, yeah, I'll come. Sure. Get off my back. And then they asked me about lighting Shabbat candles. And he says, and then the phone went dead. And later I found out, it was a very well-known incident all over, what exactly happened. This boy was murdered in the middle of a conversation. And I got it was a conversation with me. So I went to that shiva house, and I was going to tell them the story, but I couldn't bring myself to talk, so I didn't tell them anything. They didn't. But I want you to know, this is the story of why you have a Jewish name of Pesha. I went to shul. I gave the baby a name. And that was you. And you got a Hebrew name. And she says, I always knew that there was someone out there routing for me. I didn't know why. I didn't understand what it was. And this is the first time in my life I got some clarity on what it was that had just transpired. And I decided I got to go share this with the family of the boy. So thank God today for Google. I Googled young man murdered, talking in a phone booth in the 1980s. Crown Heights. Wasn't that difficult to find? From there, one thing led to another, and I was able to locate you and to find. And this is my story. I thought of the story and I was thinking like, tough story. A lot of deep pain in that story. Doesn't answer the question of why a boy had to be murdered. No. But it gives a sense of a realization that there's a God who runs this world. And all too often, when we feel lost, totally lost and abandoned, and you feel like the Mesiras Nefesh, the sacrifice, was totally in vain, there's a God behind the scenes. And this boy's Mesiras Nefesh led to this young lady because of that, because he died. That's why she got a Hebrew name. I don't purport to understand why God makes that happen, but certainly gives meaning that when he died, she, as a result of that, was able to get to where she got to because of him. And it's almost like her kids and her are living because of this boy, living in a good, solid lifestyle of connection to Hashem. You see what it feels like when you feel in Hashem's presence? That's the sheep. You're always being taken care of by Hashem. Always. Sometimes you don't feel it. Sometimes it feels just sad and disconnected. But it's so good to know that at any given moment, you're back in Hashem's light. It would be so good in life if we actually knew that and we actually felt it in a real way. Alas, v'haksavim hifrid Yaakov. Yaakov says, kesef, that sense of absoluteness and existence where your feelings are just protected by Hashem, and then comes the perspective of what you got to do. That's at the root. But Yaakov says, I'm throwing you down into the world of separation. What's the world of separation? A world where you don't feel Hashem. You don't feel God. And you feel disconnected. And you feel pain of existence. That's the keves. You have a perspective, the base, and then you have to have your emotions follow suit. And what you want to do is realize constantly that when we dive into Hashem, what we're doing is feeling Hashem's presence in our lives. Davening Shacharit and daven Mincha to feel Hashem's protection. That's what it's about. It's about, oh yeah, Hashem is right there in everything. He's creating the world. He's creating me. He's with me. He's all the time there. And then my life becomes a part of His presence. It becomes meaningful. It becomes beautiful. It becomes wholesome. Even though I got to go do things, Those are just things to do. But Hashem is right here all the time. And as you experience challenging emotions in life, it's like, okay, that's tough. Go right back. Speaking to this couple, and they had an issue in Shalom Bayis. So the issue was that the woman was paying the bills in the house, and it was getting overwhelming. There were just too many issues going on, and so she couldn't figure out this happened, that happened. So she came to her husband, started screaming at him, and she said, "I can't do this. I can't do this. You don't even help. You don't care. And look at this. All the bills are on me. I can't do it." So the husband looks at her and he's like, "Hey, I didn't ask you to do this. It's okay. I don't need you. I'll take care of it. Done." And he says, "From now on, I don't need your help. I'll do it." And I told her, "That's so nice." Like he didn't take care of it for you? She said, "Yeah, he said it so nasty." He says, "I didn't say nasty. I just said I'll take care of it." She's like, "I don't know. I felt it was nasty. I felt that he didn't care." All he had to do was to feel that she's overwhelmed. When you feel taken care of yourself and not accused, it's so easy to help others. You know what happened in that exchange? She told him, you don't take care of the bills, you don't care, whatever. So he's like, "Oops, I'm being accused." So he feels accused. Now what? So attacked. Go solve it. Don't you dare tell me that. There comes a fight. When you start realizing in life, no, she didn't say that. You're fine. God is taking care of you. Everything's good. Your wife is feeling overwhelmed. Help her. And you come over and you say, "You feel overwhelmed. Can I help you?" Guarantee you the problems are solved so much easier. When we feel a sense of being taken care of and a sense of realization that Hashem is just help, He's got your back, it's so much easier to live. Once a year, we have a holiday called Shavuot. What do we do on Shavuot? We work our way to feel absolutely aligned with Hashem. So you take the two sheep and you're offering them together. And what do you do with the sheep? You wave them. Waving means taking them from the low space that they're in, keves, and waving them means bringing them back up to their source as a kesev. It means to reconfigure how you live life. It's this realization that in everything I'm taken care of. We work our way for 7 weeks. That means every emotion that I have, you're like feeling anxious, Hashem, I'm here, perfection. Feeling worried, feeling tired, depressed. Every emotion you have, taking it back and realizing you're perfect. Your life as you are is absolute and perfect with all the problems that you have. You are the most, for you, Hashem created this world for this moment that you're in right now. You're in absolute state of perfection. And once a year, Hashem says, "Come here, let me just show you this. I want to talk to you something." And he says, "You see, work through all your emotions, 7 weeks, I'm taking care of you." And that 50th day, he says, "Now take these sheep." And you take them and you offer them to Hashem. And what does it mean to offer to Hashem? It means the same as you have every day, the sheep in the morning, the sheep in the afternoon. You wave it to Hashem. It's a realization of, I'm not a sheep in the negative sense, but in the positive sense of Hashem being my shepherd. Hashem ro'i lo ichsar. Hashem takes care of me all the time. There's nothing imperfect. It's all absolute wonderful. There's only one way to do it. On top of the sheep, you put 2 breads. The breads, when a Jew says lechem, he thinks about Torah. The 2 breads are the written Torah and the oral Torah. What we do is we take our lives where you are. The 2 sheep, the morning one and the afternoon one. The wonderful things that happen to me and the tough things that happen to me. And every time it happens to me, it's me realizing everything is divine. Everything is perfect. Tomorrow's not going to be any more perfect than today. Today's already perfect. Today you're awesome. You're in the best place that could be. All you need to do is to realize that. When you daven every day, it's realizing Hashem in your life. When you're offering on Shavuot, the 2 sheep together, it's realizing, wave them, go back to their source. When you feel wholesome, Torah tells you, look in the Torah, the written Torah, the oral Torah, you'll discover that you're perfect. You'll discover that Hashem gave everything for you. Bishvili nivra haolam. For me, the world was created. All the problems are designed for me to bring Hashem into them. As you are, where you are, is beautiful. And if you recognize that, how special you are and how protected you are at any given point in time, and you allow yourself to just every so often just feel it. Shavuot is one time a year. It's good. It's good to know that Hashem feels that I'm awesome. And if I feel that, protected, wholesome, all I need to do is share that wholesomeness with the world out there. So I'm going to go out and do my thing. Because Hashem wants me to spread the message, spread the wealth of how beautiful it is in Hashem's presence.